You ever see a grown man get thrown out of a bar for asking for a glass of water? Yeah, that actually happened, and let me tell you, it hit me in the gut in ways I can't quite explain. Picture this. Old guy walks into a sunlit bar in Key West, Florida, salt still clinging to his skin from the sea air, scars behind his ear, his hands trembling a little not from fear, but from the miles he's walked and the years he's carried. He just sits down, quiet, asks for some water. The bartender, all tattoos and attitude, looks him up and down and sneers. "We don't serve fake heroes here. Get out." The place laughs, and the old man just shrugs, whispers he only wanted water, and stumbles out, dignity in tatters, as someone actually records it for the internet. I know that's the kind of world we're living in, right? But here's where it gets good 60 minutes later. The doors burst open, and an entire SEAL team steps inside. Uniforms pressed, faces hard as stone, moving with a kind of purpose you only see in people who've had each other's backs through hell and worse. The whole room goes silent. You can practically hear everyone thinking, "Are we about to get shut down?" And in the middle of it all stands Commander Peterson, ice blue eyes, the kind that VE's seen too much. He doesn't yell, doesn't threaten, just calmly asks who thought it was okay to treat Master Chief John Keaton, the old guy, like he was a fraud. And in that second, you could feel the whole place shift. I mean, you could almost smell the fear rolling off that bartender. Now, before we get all high and mighty, let me back up a sec. Old John wasn't just some random, he'd been a SEAL since '67, seen more combat than most people could imagine, survived shrapnel, grenades, Hell Week, and stuff he'd never talk about. 15 years serving in places like Vietnam, Cambodia, and anywhere Uncle Sam sent him. He dragged Marines out of fire, racked up Purple Hearts, Silver Stars, but you'd never hear him brag. He retired, opened an auto shop, hired other vets, paid bills for widows, bought groceries for single moms. You get the picture. The dude was a walking, breathing lesson in humility. The only reason he'd been at that bar in the first place was to visit the graves of his fallen teammates. Just wanted a drink of water after 5 miles in the July heat. That's it. And for his trouble, he got called a liar and shoved out the door. So here's the twist, the one you don't see coming. The same bartender who mocked John gets dragged into the open, not by violence, but by the cold, hard truth. Peterson and his team lay out John's service, how he saved lives, how he kept fighting even with half his body torn apart, how the scars that were laughed at were from pulling someone else to safety, not from playing soldier on Halloween. There's video now, because of course there is, and it plays for everyone in the bar, uncut, showing who the real hero was and who just played at it. By the time the owner shows up, panic on his face, there's nowhere left to hide. The bartender's fired on the spot, the manager gets suspended, and the bar is ordered to issue a public apology, donate to the SEAL Foundation, and personally invite John back as an honored guest. But John? He doesn't need applause or revenge. He just stands up, shakes the owner's hand, says, "I don't need anyone to kneel, just hope you'll treat the next guy better." And that's the moment when people start to realize the ones who'd laughed before now look away, ashamed. Even the bartender, carrying his stuff in a box, can't meet anyone's eye. And you know what happened next? That story hit the internet like a tidal wave. SEALs in full dress showed up every hour for a week, standing guard at John's seat. People brought flowers to his shop, kids sent cards, schools taught his story as a lesson in character, not war, but character. That same bar, under new management, started giving free drinks to every veteran, donated 10% of profits to charity, and set up a reserved table for any vet who needed a rest. Other businesses picked up the idea across Florida, then across the country. You'd see little signs, "SEALs welcome here." That's how you change a culture, not with hashtags, but with quiet, relentless dignity. There was this one thing that just about broke me. The bartender who'd mocked John? He disappeared from social media. For a while, folks figured he was hiding. 6 weeks later, word got out he'd actually enlisted in the Navy. Maybe shame, maybe respect, who knows? But John, true to form, sent him a care package and wrote back when the guy apologized. Even mentored him through basic. I mean, who does that? Only someone who knows the weight of forgiveness. You think the story ends there, but it doesn't. John kept working at his shop, teaching young vets, keeping walls full of kids' drawings and never letting his own name be the headline. The bar became Anchors and Honors, a place where everyone, even the most broken-down old soldier, got treated like they mattered. John even started going to schools, not to tell war stories, but to talk about what it means to serve, to have each other's backs, to stand up when you see something wrong, even if your voice shakes. 1 year later, all the SEAL commanders gathered in Key West, handed John a custom trident, thanked him for his lifetime of service, and, as the sun set over the water, he walked to the cemetery, put stones on his friends' graves, and told a young lieutenant, "The real heroes? They're the ones still here, even if you can't see them." So I'll just leave you with this. Next time you see someone old, bent, quiet, maybe trembling, don't be so quick to judge. You don't know what kind of battles they've fought, what kind of scars they carry, or how much kindness might mean in that moment. The only thing that costs nothing is respect, but its absence, that costs everything. Tell me if you'd been in that bar. Would you have stood up or turned away? Drop your thoughts below. Is there a right or wrong? Or is it all just gray? Justice, honor, community, what matters most? This isn't just a story, it's a question. And I think we all need to answer it.